always do, or stop right in that moment and make this moment matter. And their awareness, or stop right in that moment and make this moment matter. And their awareness, or stop right in that moment and make this moment matter.
Maya Bhagavantam Sadamman Sasangham Ime Sakare Giyatanam Parokite Abhipuchayama Sadhuno Bhante Bhagava Sujira Parini Putopi Pachima Janatanukam Pramadasa Ime Sakare Tu Katapanda Parapute Patikanatu Ahakanti Karatam Itaya Sukhaya Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamma Namasami Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangha Namami To the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment, to the teaching which he expounded so well, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we render with offerings our rightful homage. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, still has compassion for later generations. May these simple offerings be accepted for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha. Namayam Buddhasa Bhagavato Buddhapaganamakara Karomase Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Now let us pay preliminary homage to the Buddha.
Switch to just the video.
Homage to the Noble and perfectly enlightened one.
Turn off the screen share and spotlight
Homage
your
to
video.
the blessed, noble and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble and
Do we have the stream
perfectly
playing anywhere?
enlightened one. Andamayam Buddha Pituti Karoma
Yeah, close Facebook and YouTube.
Tathagato Araham Samma Sambuddho Vijjacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Santa Deva Manusana Buddho Bhagava Yo Imam Lokam Sadevakam Samarakam Sabrahmakam Sasamana Brahmaning Bhajam Sadeva Manusang Sayam Abhinyasa Chikatawa Pavedesi Yo Dhammam Desesi Adi Kalayana Mahe Kalayana Pariyosana Kalayana Satam Sabhyanjanam Kevala Paripunnam Parisudham Brahmacharya Pakasesi Tamaham Bhagavanta Abhipujayami Tamaham Bhagavanta Sirasa Namami. Now let us chant in praise of the Buddha. He is the pure one, the perfectly enlightened one. He is impeccable in conduct and understanding, the accomplished one, the knower of the worlds. He trains perfectly those who wish to be trained. He is teacher of gods and humans. He is awake and holy. In this world with its gods, demons, and kind spirits, its seekers and sages, celestial and human beings, he has by deep insight revealed the truth. He has pointed out the Dhamma, beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. He has explained the spiritual life of complete purity in its essence and conventions. I chant my praise to the Blessed One. I bow my head to the Blessed One. Andamayam Dhamma Pitutim Karoma
Swakhando Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanayiko Pachatam Veditapo Vinyuri Tamaham Dhammam Abhipujayami Tamaham Dhammam Sirasa Namami.
Now let us change in place of the Dhamma.
Is well expounded by the Blessed One, apparent here and now, timeless, encouraging investigation, leading inwards, to be experienced individually by the wise. I chant my praise to this teaching. I bow my head to this truth.
Annamayam Sangha Vituti Haromase Yoso
Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yaya Patipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samiti Patipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yukani Artha Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Vakineyo Anjalikaramiyo Anuttaram Punya Ketam Lokasa Tamaham Sangham Abhipujayami Tamaham Sangham Sirasa Namami.
Now let us chant in place of the Sangha.
Is there a way to make our video bigger?
Who have practiced well, who have practiced directly, who have practiced insightfully, those who practice with integrity. That is the 4 pairs, the 8 kinds of noble beings. These are the Blessed One's disciples. Such ones are worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of respect. They give occasion for incomparable goodness to arise in the world. I chant my praise to this Sangha. I bow my head to this Sangha.
Annamayam Ratanataya Panamagatayo Cheva Samvega Parikitana Patancha Panamase
Karuna Mahannavo Yo Chanta Suntam Baranyana Lochano Lokasapapu Pakile Sakatako Wandami Buddham Ahamadenatam Dhammo Padiko Viyatassa Sattuno Yoma Kapaka Matapeta Pinako Lokutaro Yo Chatata Tipano Vandami Dhamma Mahamadarenatam Sangho Suketa Yatiketa Sangito Yodika Santo Sugata Nukodako Lola Padino Ario Sumetaso Wandami Sankam Ahamadarenatam Ite Wamekan Kamipujadeyakam Watutayan Wandayata Visangatam Punyam Mayayam Mamasa Bupadawa Mahontu Veda Sasata Vasidya Vidakaka Katoro Ke Upano Arahan Samma Sambuddho Namo Chadesito Niyaniko Upasamiko Parinipaniko Sambodhagami Sugata Pavedito Mayantam Dhamma Sutva Evam Janama Jati Piduka Jara Piduka Dharanam Piduka Soka Parideva Duka Domana Sapaya Sapiduka Atiye Sampayogo Duko Ye Vipayogo Duko Yampi Cham Narapati Kampi Dukam Sankite Natan Chupadana Tanta Duka Seyatikam Rukupadana Kanto Vedanupadana Kanto Sanyupadana Kanto Sankarupadana Kanto Vinyanupadana Kanto Yesam Parinyaya Dharamano So Bhagava Evam Bahulam Sawake Vineti Evam Bhaga Jaganasa Bhagavato Savake Suanusasani Bahula Kavatati Rupam Aniccham Vedana Anicca Sanya Anicca Sankhara Anicca Vijnana Anicca Rupam Anatta Vedana Anatta Sanya Anatta Sankhara Anatta Vijnana Anatta Sabbe Sankhara Anicca Sabbe Dhamma Anattati Maya Bodhi Nam Ajatiya Karamaranena soke viparite viduke vinomana se upaya se dukotina dukapareta ave vanani masa ke vanasa duka kanvasa antakiriya kanyaye tati Tirapalini Bhutan Pitan Bhagavantan Saranam Gata Dhammancha Sanghancha Tassa Bhagavato Sasanam Yatha Sati Yatha Balang Manasikaroma Anupatipachama Sasano patipati imasa kevala sadukha kandasa antakiriyaya samvatatu.
Araham
Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi
Swahato
Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami
Supatikono
Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami
You're good.
Good morning and a warm welcome to all the people from all over California and around the world who are joining us in honoring the Arahant Sanghamitta on this beautiful, clear, cool December morning. We are very grateful for the participation of everyone, and especially for all the speakers. And I think what I'd like to do without any further ado is to bring the president of the Dhamma Dharini Support Foundation, Susie Hicks, and to let her give some words of welcome.
Susie, can you unmute yourself? Susie, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, greeting everyone. My name is Susie or Sisagun Clicks. I'm here today. I'm here today to join such an important day, and I'm here to heartfully welcome you to recollect such an important day in women in Buddhism, to recollect Venerable Sanghamitta Mahatheri, who was herself a Bhikkhuni during the time just after the Buddha's Nibbana, during 250 to 200 before Christ. She was eldest daughter of King Ashoka, who was such an important and major benevolent king that supported Buddhism and much responsible for the widespread of Buddhism to all over the area near India and beyond. Particularly his daughter, Sanghamitta, she had requested an offer to travel to Sri Lanka to be part of the spreading of the Buddhism. Can you imagine a woman, Bhikkhuni, offered to travel by sea all the way to an unknown small country south of India to start Buddhism? Anyway, that event, it was such a landmark, a very impactful landmark for the Bhikkhuni communities, because the result of her being there and her support and her leadership in the spreading Buddhism, it has made such a large step, important step for women in Buddhism and for Bhikkhunis. So I'm very grateful that Dhamma Dharini is following her footsteps and doing the same thing with memberships being ordained, fully ordained Bhikkhunis, and the new ones, upcoming ones to be ordained as Bhikkhuni, and follow the footsteps to spread Buddhism, to embrace us, to be together today, to commemorate and to recollect this important. And thank you all so much for being here. And I look forward to sharing with you the wonderful programs and gathering for this wonderful day today without rain and sunshine. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susie. We have a very hardworking support foundation. This year, they have done so much on behalf of Namadarini Sangha and also on behalf of Bhikkhunis in general. It's through the support and friendship of our leaders that so many of you are able to continue supporting us and supporting the Bhikkhunis. Something that's going to be coming out a little bit later is that one of the purposes of this event today is to give some further support for the creation of a pavilion, which will enable us to have regular outside meditation and sharing dana events on our property. So visual maybe coming on. Okay, this portion right now. Visual here.
Is here.
Okay. I have a note here that's advising about the wonderful international Bhikkhunis who are with us right now. Bhikkhuni Supeshala is here. She has recently been appointed Deputy Director, the Nuns Director of the National Nuns Purivena Educational Department. This is in Sri Lanka, the newly formed government department for the education of nuns, both 10 precept nuns, the Dasa Silmanya, and the Bhikkhunis and Samanneris. Up until recently, this did not exist. There is a monk who is officially the director, satisfying the patriarchy, who is the director of National Monks Purivena. The nuns identification card issue is not yet solved, but this nuns Purivena education department is an enormous step. Big cheer to Venerable Supeshala Terry, who has taken up this charge. So thank you for that. And we also are welcoming that now we have with us Upalavana Bhikkhuni, who is working together with the Nuns Educational Department and the national magazine, Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis. She may also be joining the program at some point today. And then she's here now, but she may be able to speak with us during some of the panel discussions later. I see also Mate Sumangala, who has given some support to us. So this is a wonderful honor to have Mate Sumangala coming in and being with us during this program. I'm learning that the Malaysia government has provided land for the Arya Vihara to be the first official Theravada Bhikkhuni Arama in Malaysia, with approval for a formal SEMA. Mate Sumangala is working very intensely on building this first permanent owned vihara for the Bhikkhunis of Malaysia. Here's another. Now, I think we're coming up to the time to hear from my colleague and one of my first friends in the monastic side of Buddhism, who is Ayya Sudama Terry. Ayya Sudama is an American bhikkhuni, originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where she is presently residing. She was a successful attorney with a successful life as a householder. And then after an encounter with cancer, she had the eye-opening experience and the good luck at that time to be visited in hospital by a wonderful bhikkhu who gave so much encouragement and spiritual guidance and help and inspiration during that time. Sometime after that, Ayya Sudama came to West Virginia, which is where we met, at the and took her ordination and training at the Bhavana Society in West Virginia. Let me see, the full ordination of Ayya Sudama is 2003. That makes her one of the elder of the American Bhikkhunis in this current revivals, and one of the elders of all the Bhikkhunis in this current revival in the Theravada Buddhism. She's a resident there at the Carolina. She was at the Carolina Buddhist Vihara in South Carolina, and now she's at the Charlotte Buddhist Vihara in North Carolina. Another milestone that we shared together, the very first recitation of the Bhikkhuni Patimokkha happened with the sponsorship and leadership of Ayya Sudama. At that time, that was in Charlotte. So then I should have said Mahateri. In May of 2019, Sudama Terry celebrated 20-year anniversary of her Pabaja. That's her novice ordination. So she's been in the roads for 20 years. With this few brief facts, and just to say, Sanghamitta was a missionary bhikkhuni who was taking Buddhism to places where there was no Buddhism. And Ayya Sudama, throughout her decades of service to the Dhamma, has been in a part of the country where there is not very much Buddhism. So she teaches Buddhism to people who did not encounter Buddhism before. And she's done a very notable outreach there in Charlotte, of being a friend to people of all classes, races, and different economic levels. Truly, what we could say, a true missionary of the Dhamma. So now I'd like to invite Ayya Sudama to take the stage.
Thank you for that beautiful intro, and it actually brought tears to my eyes at one point, because regarding that 2007 Patimokkha recitation, what Ayya Sobhana didn't say is that she was the one who masterminded it, and she was the one who kind of promoted me to do it. And it was at a time when I was feeling very alone, and that service to the Sangha really picked me up. It was a big moment in my life, and I had no intention of getting all real and anything here, but it just got me. So hello everyone, and I like to pay homage to my elders who are here today, in addition to ones that you may know, such as Ayatata Loka. Bhante Uparatana was like an uncle to me at Bhavana Society. He was always so supportive. The very first Dhamma talk I ever gave is when he put a microphone in my hand at his temple at a celebration and told me to talk. And also Venerable Supeshila. She was there for my ordination. She was one of the witnessing Bhikkhunis. And wow, yay. Thank you for being here today. Okay, this season, particularly noticeable in the northern latitudes, is a time when the sun is reduced. Kind of like the dark times in between the teachings of a Buddha. It is you have the solstice, and the light is the very least. And then day by day after that, the light is brightening. And it's no accident that Christmas comes around this time. That was deliberate choice by a pope to blend those celebrations, those traditions so many centuries ago. And so we have, as Buddhists in the West, we have the solstice, we have the beautiful Christmas decorations going up, and we have this opportunity to celebrate Sanghamitta, full moon. Sorry, I just realized my knee is making my whole desk shake and my laptop move. So I want to talk about the bringing of the light to Sri Lanka and beyond. And I'm going to start with a time of darkness in my own life. And this is going to start, now don't be shocked, a worldly picture of myself. You would not believe how much work I have done with photos. I was up past midnight last night collating photos. I'm going to talk about my own story, my own journey. And I didn't have a single picture of my ordination, hardly, but I had this old film. And so I have been taking snapshots off of this old film. And then that's in an old laptop that actually has a CD player in it, and then getting them through email onto the new laptop and then organized. Yeah. So I ran out of time to do the last pictures. So I'm just going to hold them up to the Zoom and hope for the best. Here I am right after I finished law school, gotten married, and starting into a whole new life. That was me. Hello, Kathy. Catherine back there. There she is. And here I am a year later, after cancer has hit. I'm like dead. A year after that, recovering, but you can see this is someone who's lost. Just before the symptoms hit, I was introduced to a Buddhist monk. And after the cancer, my husband had a nervous breakdown, my life crumbled. And he left me, he left marriage. I was almost homeless. I remember one time I had $5 and I was trying to decide whether to use them to get across the Golden Gate Bridge to consult with my lawyer over the divorce or to buy some medicine because I couldn't do both. But time went by. I never went back to law except for just a little bit here and there, some little bit of work here and there, but I did in-home caregiving, and I focused 100% on Buddhism. That was what was making life meaningful. I was hopeless. I didn't know where to turn because old age, sickness, and death had become so real. Those messengers, heavenly messengers that, hey, you're gonna die, as we say around here in the South, you're gonna die. The messengers of you're gonna die, you can get sick. If you don't die, you're gonna age anyway. I wanted meaning, and I could only find it in Buddhism. Here I am getting happier with Buddhism, and that's me with the young Thai woman who introduced me to the monks who introduced me to Buddhism. What a difference, huh? My interest in Buddhism grew. All I wanted to do was learn from monks, be around monks, ferry them around San Francisco in my car. Anything I could do for monks, feed them. And then someone told me that I couldn't be a monk, and I was stunned. Almost gave up the whole enterprise altogether, but it had occurred to me that it would be a great shame to give up the best thing I'd ever come across because I couldn't get over my own pain over the sexist situation. So I persevered. It was hard, but I did. I just let other people screen things for me because there was some stuff in the scripture that I found very hard to swallow as a woman. And yet now I see it all looks so completely different to me now. you ever want it all explained in a way it's easy to accept, I can do that. Here is a rare photo of me in my Anagarika phase. I can only find 2 photos at all. My Anagarika phase. That was at the Bhavana Society. I found a place that would give a woman a chance. Hooray. So here we fast forward to the awaited moment, asking Bodhi Ji for novice ordination. I think Bhante Uparatana, I believe you were there. I think you were there. You're certainly a big part of my monastic life. And here she is, finally in robes, yay. Now, the Thai monks had told me that a woman could wear white and cook and clean for monks. She could never become a monk, so it was quite an amazing thing, like a miracle that I stumbled across. The Devas led me to the information of finding the Bhavana Society way back before internet. There she is. Here's just after taking the 10 precepts. You see Bhante Rahula there in the foreground. The man in the white is the ambassador to Sri Lanka. He gave a talk about his mother and the meaning of women getting to go forth. I'm sitting there on the floor in the front. There's an empty chair there. And in this back corner here is Venerable Karuna Dharma. She came all the way from California to be at my going forth. I didn't even know her. One of her closest friends died just before the time for the ceremony, and she came anyway instead of doing the funeral of her close friend because she considered it that important. So, how did it happen? How was it possible that well, how to segue here? I got my dream to become a Bhikkhuni. And I want to share that with you in detail, but I'm thinking first we'll go into the way back story. You'll hear a lot about the story of Sanghamitta. The story of women's ordination didn't end with Mahapajapati. Time by time, generation by generation, the women's lineage was carried forward. The great elder, the great arahant Sanghamitta was invited to Sri Lanka. She brought an entourage of bhikkhunis to give ordination to women there. And later that ordination, I think other people are going to talk about this in detail later today, but that ordination went to China, from there to other Mahayana countries, and eventually back to Sri Lanka in very modern times. So I want to okay. So I'm going to quote from an article I wrote some time ago. After Venerable Arahant Mahinda had gone to Sri Lanka, he gave a teaching to the king, and learning of the king's praises of the bhikkhus, Anula Devi, who was sub-queen of the realm, she was the wife of the younger brother of the king, and the ladies of the palace were eager to hear their teachings. After the elders took their meal, Anula Devi and 500 women of the court offered gifts, then respectfully listened to a discourse, at the end of which all of them attained the first stage of enlightenment. Now, what on earth did he say to them that would do that? So, and I understand that she and the ladies were the first to gain a stage of enlightenment in Sri Lanka. So I'm quoting now from the Mahavamsa that the Tara Mahinda preached the Petavatu, the Vimadavatu, and the Sakta Sangyutta. The women attained to the first stage of sanctification. Okay, so what is that all about? Those are big books. I mean, they're not big books, but they're books. Did he really sit there and teach every word out of them? It's possible that that a core of each of those was what he taught, not all of it, or that some other more commentarial type stories had been added into them since then, kind of expanding on them. But if you think about what the gradual training is, let's see if I have this still right here. No, I managed to close it. Okay. So the gradual training is frequently mentioned in the scriptures, particularly when the Buddha was reaching people for the first, lay people for the first time. I'm sorry, the gradual teaching. Gradual training is a little different. The gradual teaching, a graduated teaching, where he would talk about giving, and he would talk about heaven, and he would talk about the depravity and downsides of the sense pleasures. And then he would teach the Four Noble Truths, something along those lines. So, well, the Vimana, the Book of the Mansions is all about heaven, cause and effect, how people have gone to heaven. It's a series of accounts of people encountering angelic beings, and then they reveal how they ended up in that place. So it's about the cause and effect. In other words, about giving and beautiful conduct, how a person goes up. And so once their hearts are uplifted with teachings like that, then he hit them with the other one, which is the Petavatu, which is about the ghosts, the people in low realms, the cause and effect of what someone has done, such as excess indulgence in sense pleasures and acts of evil that would take a person down in the next life. So these ghost beings are explaining, most of the book is about ghost beings explaining how they ended up in a lower realm. So it's tracking that graduated training. And then he talked about the Satya Sanghamitta. If you look at that, every single one of those discourses in the Satya Sanghamitta, it's the very last chapter in the Samyutta Nikaya, if anyone's looking for it, very last one. Well, you see, it starts off nicely enough. It's like, well, you know, if you want to do concentration right, learn these Four Noble Truths. If you want to get enlightened, learn the Four Noble Truths. And then by the end, it's saying, oh, how hard it is to have a human birth, and especially at a time when the Buddhist teachings are around. So you better learn these Four Noble Truths. And oh, hell is so terrible. You better learn these Four Noble Truths and get out of this situation. Kind of escalates generally to the end there. Well, again, in the graduated teaching, you have the teaching about the upward leading behaviors, teaching about the downward leading behaviors, and then the Four Noble Truths. When their minds were bright and uplifted, then he would reveal to them the Four Noble Truths. So that's what he did. He taught them cause and effect about going to heaven, cause and effect about going to hell, and the Four Noble Truths. You know, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but in the Ovada Parimokkha, the daily teaching of the Buddha, he Sabapasa Karanam Kusala Supasampadas Chitta Pariyodapanang Etam Buddhana Sasanang. It's in Buddhism in a nutshell. It tracks pretty similarly. Don't do evil. Undertake what is good. Mind you, the word there is upasampada. Raise up in you what is good. Make that energetic effort. Do it. Raise it up. Same as the word for ordination. Raise up. Upasampada. What's good? Right? Really similar, right? Just slightly different order. Kind of order of priority, because the main thing is don't do the evil stuff, but it's hard to tell people that first. You got to let them know that, you know, the good stuff, the happy stuff first, and then you can hit them with the harder stuff when you're giving a teaching to new people. But in terms of priority, just don't do the stuff that's going to take you down, for goodness sake. Whatever else you do in this world, don't do that. And then, yeah, you know, do what's good, go for it, and train the mind, purify the mind. Four Noble Truths is the most refined, profound aspect of that, learning and acting in accordance with them, understanding suffering, letting go of the cause, the craving, experiencing the third Noble Truth of cessation, Nibbana, and developing that Eightfold Path. Those are the four things to be done with your Four Noble Truths, right? Purify the mind. Oh, I'm sorry. Was my sound not so good? Do I need to repeat anything? Okay, great. All right. Okay, well, that was a very powerful teaching, wasn't it? And so that is how they could end up at the first stage of enlightenment. And then he comes back and, of course, he's giving more teachings. And in the next day's teachings, a whole lot of people got first stage of enlightenment. And these ladies, I mean, they were just ahead of everybody. They went to second stage of enlightenment. And that teaching was on the divine messengers. It's the one where, it's a fable where the Lord of Death is questioning and cross-questioning some poor guy who has died and gone into Yama's death's realm, asking him, didn't you see the first messenger? Why didn't you do good? Why did you do bad things? What's wrong with you? No, I didn't see him. Well, didn't you ever see an infant lying in its own feces, dying? Didn't it ever occur to you that you too could die? No, I didn't get it. Okay. Well, didn't you see the second messenger? No, I didn't see it. Well, didn't you ever see someone aging? Third messenger, didn't you ever see somebody sick? A fourth messenger. My mind went blank. Yeah, about the need to train the mind. So didn't you ever learn that? No. And so that he's whisked off to hell. I wouldn't have, oh, here it is in my book. Let's see. Oh, okay. Did the fourth messenger, did it never occur to you, and those who do evil actions have such tortures of various kinds inflicted on them here and now. So what about the hereafter? Surely I'd better do good by body, speech, and mind. And he was unable. He was negligent. So then he's drawn into hell. And then it's page after page about how incredibly horrible hell is. And page after page. And then I'll just read you the poem at the end of that one. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Middle Length Discourses number 130. Devadutta Sutta. Though warned by the divine messengers, full many are the negligent, and people may sorrow long indeed, once gone down to the lower world. But when by the divine messengers good people here in this life are warned, they do not dwell in negligence, but practice well the noble Dhamma. Clinging they look upon with fear, for it produces birth and death, and by not clinging they're freed in the destruction of birth and death. They dwell in bliss, for they are safe and reach Nibbana here and now. They are beyond all fear and hate. They have escaped all suffering. Okay, well, that did it for them. So these ladies were at the second stage of enlightenment. And so then they wanted to ordain, but it's not really polite for the bhikkhus to go ordaining women when there are bhikkhunis available, able to do it. The Buddha gave permission, and he never said, no, you can't do it. But it just makes sense. It's just common sense that you should reserve it for times when it's hard to get a collection of bhikkhunis together, hard or impossible. Well, right then, it wasn't all that hard. It wasn't all that impossible. And he sent for Sanghamitta, his sister, to bring back cutting of the Bodhi tree. This bit about the Bodhi tree, I think, is absolutely key to how we can have bhikkhunis today. Why would I say that? Well, obviously, I'm going to tell you. Because the arrival of the Bodhi tree was being celebrated even long after there were no more bhikkhunis. See, there were war conditions that caused bhikkhus to get wiped out periodically and then brought in again, reviving the Sangha from delegations from Thailand or Burma, but they didn't bring back bhikkhunis. So the first time the whole Sangha was wiped out, the bhikkhunis were lineage in Theravada, in Sri Lanka, stop there. But they never forgot there were bhikkhunis, if only, well, of course there's bhikkhunis mentioned in the scriptures, but some other countries, we won't name names, managed to forget there were bhikkhunis, and even certain king who became a monk, I won't name names, even wrote in a treatise on the Vedya that there was reason to believe there never were bhikkhunis. But Sri Lanka had etched inscriptions mentioning bhikkhunis, etched in rock inscriptions, and had this memory of the awesome Arahant Sanghamitta coming with a Bodhi tree. And I'm going to pull up a photo for you. Would I have permission, please, to share my screen? Didn't occur to me that I wouldn't be able to do that after spending, probably about 14 hours total getting photos too. At least 10 hours total getting photos for you. Powers that be. Can I have screen sharing powers, please? You look up participants and then click on the right, and then you'll have the opportunity to give me that permission. I think, or you could just allow everyone and take our chances that some meanies are here who will do bad things. Nope, still disabled. Ah, here we go. Okay, hang on a second. Oh, well, it looked so easy. I was just going to do such and such, and it was going to be there. I made it sound so easy in my head. While I was doing all of these things, I was working with a new laptop. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something else then. I was working with this new laptop, and have you ever tried to do a project while working with a new device? It's very interesting. Okay, I'm still screen sharing, good. Okay, put that to the side. I'm going to find, I have a picture. It's not it. Just have to bear with me for a moment. Nope. Ah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone can see this quite well. You see this image here behind several bhikkhunis seated. This image here is a painted wooden cutout of Arahant Sanghamitta. That's a Bodhi tree. If you can't tell, it is a Bodhi tree in her hands there. It doesn't look like one, but it is. And this kind of image would be carried around in parades. So let's see. She arrived in around 308 BC, and it's the revival of the Bhikkhuni order happened in the 1990s, right, in Theravada. And so you add those together, about 2,300 years or so, right? I've closed it now. I had it. Did you never see it? You didn't see it? You know, sometimes these things escape my abilities. How's that? Is it visible now? Would someone unmute themselves and tell me, because I can't see you and the picture that I have up at the same time.
Yes, it's visible.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the kind of image where it's made of wood. We would have done cardboard nowadays, so you just assume cardboard, but no, that would have been made of wood. And it's this image of her there. It's probably in a glass case, but this is the kind of image that's carried around in parades to this day. The Perahera type of parades at the anniversary, the December full moon anniversary of the arrival of Sanghamitta. So they don't just carry around the image of the tree, they carry around the image of a bhikkhuni carrying a tree. So if somebody were to try to write some treatise saying bhikkhunis never existed, they'd be laughed out of the room in Sri Lanka. This kind of a detail in history, I think, is absolutely pivotal, because in modern days, As women's voices were becoming stronger, the work of Sanghamitta was having a role in that. The work of people like now Ayodhamananda, Dr. Chatsuman Kabul Singh, and Ranjini De Silva, and I was about to say Venerable Kusuma, very instrumental. Now, when we got this thing revived, as you know, successfully as a group in Sri Lanka in the 1990s, the first group to do this was Venerable Kusuma's group with Venerable Sudarshana. Venerable Sudarshana, were you part of the 10? Maybe you can answer in the chat. So there were these nuns who requested the higher ordination. And so this is the first batch to successfully do this as a batch, to actually have a Bhikkhuni Sangha together. There were some individuals before, and in the 80s. But this batch, it went to India, trained there for 2 years, and but the monk almost backed out. According to Venerable Kusuma, he called her, and she was still a lay woman. She was a famous person who had given teachings on the radio, and who had taught, I think, taught English to monks for many, many years in the monks' university. She became the Anula Devi of our modern generation. And I have a picture of her here. Because if she hadn't done it, the monk said he would not go ahead. She had no idea in her mind to do it. But she had been studying Bhikkhuni rules and so forth. For her PhD, she had done this. This was somebody in a position of privilege who was able to make the request. Anula Devi was a queen. She made the request. When he went to China, it was the women of the palace who made the request. Mahapajapati was a queen, made a request. You see a theme here? She wasn't a Venerable Kusuma. Wasn't at that time was not a queen, but she was a powerful woman, recognized in Buddhism, and she became the lightning rod for any criticism, because she was, put to the front as the number one, even though she had not nearly the background in monastic life as the others. Venerable Sudarshana and others, had been nuns for many, many years, and she went straight from lay life. But the thing was that, she was the official lightning rod for any complaints. But the monks who would be doing any complaining, and many of them had been her students, and the student-teacher respect and bond is honored in Sri Lanka, and they would not criticize their teacher. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant move to have her do that. So I mentioned about how the ordination lineage has come down, but it's come down in more than one way. It came down in a technical sense to many through Korean or through Chinese Bhikkhuni Sanghas, but also there's ordination by monk side only, which the Buddha recognized, and these are also the daughters of Mahapajapati, Sanghamitta, Anula Devi, and Venerable Kusuma and the others. You see, the idea also was carried down. You have to have some basis, and so however you trace the lineage, whether by heart or by technical, passing along, Ehi Bhikkhuni, the Buddha said, is a valid ordination. It's just, there are techniques, technical points for organizational purposes. So it seems to be a matter of what the community acknowledges as being real and true. And I want to make a little caveat here, just a little side comment, which is that when Mahapajapati Gautami was seeking ordination, there's the whole story of the 8 precepts, which are problematic, but the point is that she made some sort of agreement with the Buddha that was her ordination. Nice. Still screen sharing now. Okay, good. And then she said, well, what about these others? And the bhikkhus ordained them. And then they tried to kind of push her aside, saying, well, we got ordained by bhikkhus, but who are you? What about you? Happens, right? You know, when people are highly oppressed, there's an insecurity there that could cause us to kind of pull down others, like someone drowning grabs another swimmer, and they both kind of can drown. When there's an insecurity there can be an inclination, a tendency to deny the legitimacy of someone else's ordination. I mentioned Venerable Kusuma as a being like this pioneer, and yet there are others who got ordination a couple of years later who were told that first ordination is not real because they made these and these mistakes. We're the only ones who have the real ordination, not those. Right. Just like Mahapajapati's entourage, questioning and saying, no, not you. And so some people coming along getting the ordination out of the second group weren't even told about the first group. But if the first group hadn't done it, they were the icebreakers. They were like the big ship, a little clipper ship that goes in front of a bigger ship and takes the intensity of the forces breaking through something that cannot be broken through. These ice breakers cut through the ice, and then the bigger ships can come through. Those bhikkhunis, I think, including Venerable Supeshwar, they're the ones who really, with their own hearts and minds, had to deal with the intensity of the denigration and newspaper screaming this can't be right, and so forth. They were the ice cutters. Great pioneers. And then there were a few individuals before them that were utterly trounced. But without them, the ones in 96 couldn't have done it. And then there was another batch in 2000. And then there are some people looked at them and said, no, see, there was this flaw. And so they're not real, right? It just happens like that. I myself have been subject to the same sort of thing. There was a person who introduced herself as a bhikkhuni, but when asked what was her ordination lineage, refused to answer. And I said, well, the Buddha himself said that if somebody cannot answer where they got their ordination, they're a thief in the robes and should be shunned. So I have been officially shunning and trying to shun, getting others to shun this one bhikkhuni. Did not even cross my mind that maybe she'd already been questioned by other people. It was already a sensitive topic. Until finally, more recently, I'm ashamed to admit, someone pointed out to me that could be the reason. So I myself have done it too. Years ago, when I was a 10 precept nun, I went through a time of hardship. And in just a moment of heartbreak, I turned to a visiting elder monk, Ajahn Sucitto of England, who was teaching in the States. On my knees, I said, how can I be a good nun? How can I be a good nun? I just gotten so much hard feedback, legit, but hard. And I just wanted to know, how could I be a good nun? And he looked at me, he said, you're a nun, that is good, rejoice in it. We have so many bhikkhunis. Instead of trying to pick over who's really ordained, who's not really ordained, they're not trying to get to be millionaires. They're trying to live an austere life. They're trying to give up all the nonsense and focus towards enlightenment. They're not trying to get gold-plated, gold-plated fixtures, for hot and cold water. They're just trying to live the life of focus on what's truly important, what's worthwhile at the time of death, what brings light and brightness to the heart that would have no hope. So if somebody wants to be a bhikkhuni, it has some semblance of a reason to say so. Who could be so cruel to say, oh, no, you're not. You are not going to wear rag robes and claim a life of austerity and give up sex and degradation and spending your time earning money. How dare you? Let's not do that to each other. You're a nun. It's good. Rejoice in it. Okay, I am ready to show you my ordination photos. There's a bunch of comments. Okay. So I don't see anything that's, sometimes my audio gets quiet. You know, I'm really bad about that. If somebody could actually cut in verbally to let me know I've done that, that would be welcome. Okay, here we go. We're gonna share screen to, where'd it go? Okay. And wait, no, I did it wrong. Stop share. I had to learn how to do this last night. I'm going to advanced share screen to, where'd it go? Is that what I'm doing? Right, no, I'm going to do basic and, this is right. Slideshow, there we go. All right, as I said, I didn't have pictures from the day of my I had hardly any pictures from the day of my ordination, higher ordination. But what I had was this film. Look at this film, it's so pathetic. Like the bottom is at the top there. And so here is, okay. This is Venerable Sudarshana. I heard that she may be joining us today. If you're here, and these are the elder bhikkhus who would give us our male approval ordination. And here we are about to ask for the 10 precepts. Why am I in white? I was already in 10 preceptor because those Sri Lankan bhikkhunis required you to get busted down to white robes before you can ask for the 10 precepts in case your 10 precepts weren't perfect.
Aya Sudama, we just see your manager and the small pictures, but not the big picture. When you enlarge it, maybe could you try again?
I am going to do that. Again, I'm coming up against, here it is. Coming up against technology that's new to me on a new laptop. So let's see. Thank you for telling me that. I would have just gone on and on. No clue, because it looks to me like it is doing it. So I'm gonna have to do it just the right order. Get that up. I know, I will do, put it in the slideshow and pause it. Now, I'll come back to you. I can't do it. There we go. Sorry, I thought I had it all mastered. Okay, can you see it now?
No,
We just
No,
see
we
your
don't
file manager.
see it.
Okay, I'm going to call for a 2-minute break while I deal with this. Hang on.
Considering the time, perhaps you should paint your picture in words and let the photographs go for this session.
Okay, I thought I had until 1:30.
Yeah.
9:30 your time, or 10:30.
I'm sorry. Yes. Please go ahead.
Oh, good. Okay. Is it? You know, attachment is such a dreary, terrible thing. you remember how many hours I told you I did putting this screenshot together? I had to get these photos from a film to an old laptop to the new laptop and in order, named and everything. I'm going to try one more time. Let's see what happens. Can anyone see it? It should be showing a photo.
Nope, just the file manager.
Does anyone know why it would not do that?
When you screen share, do you have a choice of window that you're sharing? It should give you options. You may be in the wrong window. Or can you share your entire screen?
Hang on a second. Maybe I got it on or something. Oops, almost left the meeting. Can I share the entire, well, I'll try. Okay, let's try this. So for some reason, if I don't have it already open, it doesn't show it on my thing to share. But okay, I'll try it now. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a good save. Thank you. Forgive me for not having gotten that figured out. Okay, this is Venerable Siddharshana. Can you see my little cursor moving around her? So she was the one who had been a nun the longest. At the time, the 10 nuns got the higher ordination in Sarana, but headed ceremonially, if you will, by Venerable Kusuma. That's Venerable Dhammananda and the other bhikkhus who would be there. And here we are, that's me. You can barely see my little white face against the background there, my robes in my hand. I wonder if it will let me go to the, can you still see it?
Yes.
Great. All right, so, and then, see her talking with the bhikkhu there, and we're about to ask for 10 precepts, and then she instead has us go over to the bhikkhunis. I didn't even realize they're still going through the film, taking these screenshots. So now we're in front of the bhikkhunis lined up. How do you like the little traditional thing over the head? All kinds of, it was like a hazing to get bhikkhuni ordination in the early days. Really, it was like hazing. Venerable Kusuma showed me the scars on her knees from the Korean form. Scars on her knees. And mine was pretty tough too, but not that tough.
I'm going to sit here, okay, great.
What is it?
So that's it.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You can still see, right?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So that is that. And then we got our 10 precepts, and now we are chatting with the monks either before or right after the 10 precepts. And then we're filing out to the Sema Hall to get the higher ordination. At this point, I have been through so much. I won't detail all of it, but there was a time as a lay woman that I was wanting the high ordination, and I had been told that I couldn't do it because women could wear white and cook and clean for monks, not become monks. I remember I was face down in a pillow weeping an hour a day for about a 3-week period. Because I wanted to be like these people who had brought me the Dhamma, like the monks. I wanted to focus on this 100%. I wanted the promises of the Buddha. I wanted to be his daughter. I wanted this. And getting busted down to the white robes for the ordination was really emotionally hard. And then we were told to line up and do this, line up and do that. At this point, I am exhausted. We haven't even started the higher ordination. And so here I am. We've just done the 10 precepts, and I am lost. I'm just tired and lost. And sorry, okay. So there I am, I'm still looking a bit lost. Venerable Dhammananda, the Bhikkhunis lined up and went in very beautifully, ceremoniously. There I am, again, looking still a bit lost. There I am, still looking a little lost. And somehow, it's just, I mean, this was not a short walk because we had to keep stopping and waiting while they organized everything. But the camera picked up a moment when something changed. Right there, you can still see that lost look. And right there is a little smile. Because I realized it's really going to happen. And that smile didn't leave my face for days. Okay, so this is taken through the window of the Sima room, and we're doing some initial bows. I don't actually remember exactly the way they did the ceremonies because it's a little different than we were doing them in the West. They didn't allow even the electricity to be on. They were so strict that nothing could cross the Sima. It was completely soaked in sweat at the end of this part. We are bowing and bowing. That way the hands are up like that, we had to sit hours with our hands up like that. It was an incredible thing. And I went into an altered space, just an altered space that was so incredibly wonderful. The whole thing started in the morning. I didn't include these photos, but they started in the morning with a meal. Lay people gave us a beautiful feast. And then, you know, there's the ride over there and getting set up at the monastery and the 10 precepts and then the higher ordination. And then after that, you receive the words of a bhikkhu about, you know, the 10 things never to do, like don't have sex and that sort of thing. So we get this awada. So this is the time for that exhortation. So we're lined up, we go to this hall, we have this teaching. And while we're getting the teaching, we had to put our hands back up there again. My hands were doing this at that point, just shaking. And yet the concentration was just so, I don't know, the mind was so incredibly clear. I could just do it. I didn't even try to rest my hands there because that just would have made it worse. Tried to find any kind of solace or escape would have made it worse. Just deal with it. And so all through the 8, we had to be like that. And there's the hall, everybody's gathered. We have bhikkhunis on this side, elder bhikkhunis on the other side. The monks are the ones we're facing there. You know, I kind of stand out. It's very strange. My eyes adjusted when I was in Sri Lanka and I never liked my look again after that. Okay. So there we are facing the elder bhikkhus, and then they had talks, regular, sermons, exhortations, how to live the holy life talks and so forth. One of the bhikkhus, I think it was Venerable Piyananda, said that we should consider the 8 Garodhamma, not necessarily the Buddha Vacha, but not the word of the Buddha, but to hold it like you would an amendment to the Constitution. It's not the real Constitution itself, but it's still real, and hold on to it and just do it right. And I took that to heart. I really, I figured that I had in mind that within 30 years we would drop those things, but for now I'll do them. And I kept them quite strictly for a good while. I actually do keep them now, pretty much, but I was very sincere about it, and I still will bow to any monk. I don't care. It's not about me. You know, you just want to make peace, and sometimes that's what's needed. So you just make peace. Who cares? It's not about me. It's for the greater Sangha. Sometimes bowing is the thing that would hurt the Sangha, so then you don't do it then. And I included this picture of the lay people because all of this is the lay people living out their faith. It gave them so much happiness and uplift. It's just really incredible, happy kind of economy of gifts. We give the momentum of living the holy life 100%, and they give the momentum of food and shelter and clothing and medicine. Like, they take care of us, and it's how they are living their lives in a beautiful way. And I will never forget my debt of gratitude to the Sri Lankan people, the lay people, the monastics, Bandeji, and people who were supporting Bandeji, many of them Sri Lankan. Like, I don't know what else to say, but if Buddhism hadn't gone to Sri Lanka, the world would be a much darker place. So then there was the gift giving afterwards, and I don't know what to do. I'm off to the side being lost, not sure what to do. Venerable Dhammananda was a gift giving whiz. She was amazing, giving these awesome gifts to everybody. Giving. I'm just sort of standing on each foot. Oh, like, oh, I give something. Oh, okay. Something, okay, something in hand. There I am, my little lost self, but still happy. Then after all the gift giving was done, Venerable Piyananda gave me his book. That was awesome. More gifts were given to the Bhikkhunis. Now the others were shrewd and handed their gifts to somebody else, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I sit there with the gifts I was given. I still got those things too. There's some neat gifts in there. Like, anyway, so it's so awkward. Here I am sitting with all this stuff in my hands. I finally figure out that I can hand it to somebody else. And then, so I think it's all over. No one, in Sri Lanka, they tend to tell you everything on a need to know basis. And what you're about to do next is not a need to know basis. You don't need to know it if somebody else is taking care of you. So they just don't bother to tell you anything. And so I had no idea. But while we were there doing all of this, I got, caught up in conversation and running around looking for facilities, and I had no idea that there were children on a street corner and a whole bunch of people waiting to do a parade for us. So they finally found me, rounded me up, threw me in the van, and head on over there. We were 2 hours late. The Sri Lankans are amazing people, not a word of complaint. They were just joyful that we were there. I really learned from that. I tried to take it to heart that the school children in Sri Lanka were better than I've ever been in my life. I would have been so negative if I'd waited on a street corner 2 hours for people to come to be the recipients of a parade. So I'm standing there. I don't even know it's a parade yet. That's why I have this incredibly puzzled look, like, what? I don't even know what's going on. I'm on a street corner at the turnoff to the little village, Gorakana, where Sanghamitta Center is located. That's where I mostly stayed. And it's about 2 miles. We're about to do a 2-mile parade after this incredibly long day. We arrived there at dark. I remember the day started at the early part of the day. Oh heavens, this was one long day. And I don't remember a drink of water or use of facilities the entire day after lunch, after the early lunch, like it was a long day. These are men who had been hired to do the drumming and dancing right in front of us. They were dancing right in front of me. It's an amazing thing. There they are on the street, chanting. It's kind of singing. It's a kind of singing, sort of like a Sri Lankan rap. And we go all the way the route to the Sanghamitta Center. And so Dhammananda, I mean, really this whole thing was put together for her. She was the important one. I was just in there on her coattails. But because I was technically in robes longer as a seminary, she insisted that I go first. So I had like I was the first in the line of the parade. I was a little embarrassed about that, but she was being very humble. That's the one picture I have from the day, of an actual photograph, which I managed to get into this collection. And the Bhikkhuni, many Bhikkhunis were in this parade, and other nuns. There are the children. Oh, it was so cute. So cute. Beautiful parade. And it goes on and on and on and on. And then we land at Sakidita Center and we can go get a drink of water and relieve ourselves. No, we walk straight from the street up the driveway into a doorway and into this room. And then we sit there and we have speeches. And look, I'm still smiling. There's this place of total letting go and joy, because letting go is where joy resides. Did you know that? Sometimes we get happy when we get stuff because we gave ourselves permission to let go of the desire for it. That's why we feel happy with material stuff. But we can be happy without any of the material stuff. We can just be happy having let go. Big group talks. There's our venerable elder. Come on. Venerable Kusuma. There's Ranjani, the laywoman who did the most for organizing everything. She was amazing. And she was my only connection to Sri Lanka. I met her at a conference once. And years later, I contacted her and she said, oh, if you ever come to Sri Lanka, I'll host you. I was a laywoman then. And when I was looking for higher ordination, or just wanted to go to Sri Lanka. And actually, I wanted to serve Bhikkhunis. And she said, oh, yeah, come. She didn't know me from anybody. She didn't remember me from some conference. And she took care of me and got me to the Bhikkhunis and got me into this ordination. I didn't expect to get to have higher ordination at that time. I just wanted to serve Bhikkhunis. The Bhikkhunis turned out they were so incredibly gracious as hosts. They refused to let me do anything. I never got to serve them at all. They did so much for me instead. That is how good the Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis are. They're amazing. Ranjani giving a talk. She's so lovely. She has since become rightfully famous, and someone's writing a biography of her now. And they contacted me for some photos of her. And this is the end of the slideshow. I got to give a few words at the end of it. So I'm coming back to this idea of the light coming to the place of darkness. I've gotten to teach Buddhism to people who have only read a few quotes on calendars and don't really know anything about the Buddha or Buddhism. More and more, they're educated in certain ways, but they think that if you just meditate, you'll get there. They don't understand Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path. They don't understand that you live a life geared to this. To spiritual development that the Buddha gave us. You don't just sit there and force yourself into some altered state. Enlightenment doesn't happen because you become a bigger, better, greater you. It happens because you deconstruct everything that's causing you to be not enlightened. This kind of message now, it used to be I was teaching people who never even had not heard of the Buddha. Now I'm teaching people who think they know all about him because they sat and did some mindfulness meditation. And so I think this message that I give, that it's not about being a bigger, better you to be enlightened. It's about deconstructing everything that's maintaining your unenlightenment. And this teaching brings brightness and joy into people's lives. It helps people see where they need to apply their efforts to stop doing the things that maintain our unenlightenment. Stop doing the negative things. Do no evil. Just stop, right? Do what's good, purify the mind, but don't purify the mind by trying to force a bigger, better mind. Do it by relieving the mind of sources of suffering, bit by bit, step by step. And I don't think I could have, I don't think that I would, how to say this, being in the holy life is very, very beneficial. It's just incredibly beneficial. If nothing else, it keeps me focused on because if I don't put my time towards what's beneficial, what the Buddha said is beneficial, then I get embarrassed when the people are bringing me food. I'm not respecting them if I don't do my part. And I think that alone, right there, and not to mention, having front row seats to teachings by great elder monks, such as Sanghamitta, you know, and the Sangha, opportunities to serve the Sangha. Like, these really are powerful aids on the way. But that business of just always having a reminder that there's an expectation there, that the lay people are doing their part, and I need to do my part. And anybody who wants to ordain, who's very sincere about it, I really hope that they all get their opportunity. I hope that there are no obstacles. Yeah, so I think that's, I think I've said everything.
Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Thank you, Ayasadama, for these wonderful personal stories. To the timeless adventure.
I'm sorry, would you say that again? Your voice broke up.
In your story, you've enacted a kind of a timeless experience that so many of us have been through in exactly the same way, or very similar or parallel ways. And the same event has been happening for how many hundreds and hundreds of years and thousands of years, going all the way back. And so it's through what we embody through these rituals and forms that gives us a different kind of a connection than the mental connection we have from reading about suttas and thinking. So I really appreciate seeing those pictures and being reminded.
And again, I want to say just one more thing, which is that I'm so delighted for Venerable Supeshula to be here. I tried to bring her over as a teacher for me when I first was coming back to the States from Sri Lanka, and immigration had other ideas, but I would have shared a life with her for some time if I'd had my way. And so just yay. Okay.
If Venerable Supeshula is still here, maybe she'd like to say a few words.
I think she's gone, but Venerable Upalawana is here.
Venerable Upalawana is here. Would she like to join the conversation and say some words?
Can you unmute?
You have to unmute yourself. No.
You're still muted, Venerable.
Someone has pointed out that perhaps everyone is muted by the host. There may be an inability to unmute.
Go to participants.
No, we can unmute.
You could ask her to unmute, and that should give her permission, I think.
We have two people attempting to do the tech support, and I am not one of them.
Venerable Upalavana, in the lower left corner of your screen, there's a little microphone. If you click on it, then you should be able to be heard.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's okay. Okay. I'm so glad that I got this opportunity of speaking to you all, and especially on the memorial day of great Arahant Theri Sanghamitta. It's my mom, and she arrived in Sri Lanka on invitation, not just invitation, it was a royal invitation because Arahant, great Arahant Mahinda Thero arrived in Sri Lanka and preached Dhamma. And after his sermon, our Queen Anula, the wife of the Mahanaga, Prince Mahanaga, the brother of Devanampiyatis, the king of Sri Lanka, then king, and then she understood this Dhamma very well, and she became Sotapanna first day, and then second, she got the second fruit of Sakadagami, and then she said that she too wanted to join the Bhikkhuni order. So then only great Arahanteri Sanghamitta was invited to Sri Lanka, and that was a royal invitation. And she arrived in Sri Lanka and she was warmly welcomed and she was looked after, but she never returned to India. That I have to say, because we all we have to pay our homage to her, and we have to pay our respect to her, and we all are we all pay respect to her. This is the arrival of Arahanteri Sanghamitta, and I think this is a historical event because nobody was on this mission unless Sanghamitta Theri arrived in Sri Lanka. So it was started in Sri Lanka. The Bhikkhuni Sasana or the Bhikkhuni order started in Sri Lanka, and from Sri Lanka it went to many other countries, and it was well, all our history says that our women were very well educated and very well disciplined because of Theri Sanghamitta. So we all honor her because of this, because all our society was a very, very disciplined society. Especially our men were very well disciplined by that time. And Professor Indrani Munasinghe says in her books, our women were talking when cooking and when they were doing something, they were talking about the Dhamma. And this was the teaching of Arahanteri Sanghamitta. And after some time, about 1,000 years, it vanished from Sri Lanka. Not only the Bhikkhuni order, but the Bhikkhu order also. And fortunately, our Theri Devasara went to China with about 10 of her pupils to China. And China, she gave ordination to Chinese Bhikkhunis. So we came to know that it was in China, and from China it went to some other countries, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Tibet, etc., etc. So this is our history, and there was a lapse, and after some time it was brought back. In 96, our first Bhikkhuni was considered as Bhikkhuni Kusuma, and then after that there was a huge repercussion about it. Some of our bhikkhus were telling that it was not Theravada, and even now we have a problem. And again in 1998, it was brought from through India, from Taiwan, and of course it was done in the presence of many bhikkhus from all the Nikayas. But at the moment, this great Bhikkhuni Sangha order, started by Sanghamitta and with our Queen Anula theory, now it is not accepted. Our government, we are not accepted by our government. This is the tragedy of Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis at the moment. So this is very, very pathetic case. I have been trying so hard for the last 6 years, writing to many ministers, writing to the presidents, and I don't know how to convince them that this Bhikkhuni Sangha order is there in the world. Some say that no Bhikkhuni order is there. I see that there are so many Bhikkhunis from America, from Australia, from Tibet, from Taiwan, Korea, etc., etc. But some people say that the Bhikkhuni order is not there. I think you can see the Bhikkhunis behind me. We have about ordained Bhikkhunis more than 3,000, but we are helpless, supportless from the government. And for me, as a Bhikkhuni, I don't have an identity card even. We are not accepted as Bhikkhunis in Sri Lanka. So I have a passport in my lay name. Wherever I go, I have been addressed as Mrs. I feel shy. Something happened at Delhi airport also when I went to India for a conference. So these things I have brought to the light of our ministers as well as the presidents. So far, we are supportless. And not only that, we have many problems in Sri Lanka because our Samaneris, they have problems when they appear for examinations. They have no way of making sure of their identification, who they are. Even wherever I go, I have no way of giving my identification. So this is a real problem. So what I wanted to tell you all was, and this is our past history. Present, what we have done. And my sister Bhikkhuni Supeshala and I have started the institution to teach Samaneris in English medium. What we have thought was, okay, let them learn English, and through English, let them preach Dhamma throughout the world. So even though we are not accepted in Sri Lanka, all right, let's go throughout the world and we can teach and preach Dhamma, and we can deliver our duty as Bhikkhunis. In fact, I was in the Ministry of Education. I was working as a director of English education. And after that only I became Bhikkhuni, because I was practicing Dhamma. I was practicing meditation hard. So it made me to put on robe and to say goodbye to my lay life. So from there onwards, I thought I must fight for this identification of the Bhikkhunis. So I have been struggling, and I have been writing to our Bhikkhuni Tataloka, most venerable Bhikkhuni Tataloka. I didn't see her today, but I have been writing to her. Wherever I go, I tell everybody about our plight. So if this is Sanghamitta, my great Arahant theory, Sanghamitta's Memorial Day. So everybody has to think of the plight of the present Bhikkhunis, that is her parampara or her generation. This is Sanghamitta generation. We are her own generation. So if the plight is here like this, what would be the future of our Samaneris? So that is my question. And I Yeah, I would like to, we started the newspaper also. Could you see this? We started the newspaper.
Cannot see it because you're, excuse me, Venerable, you cannot see it because the background behind you, actually sometimes you disappear completely when you raise up something else. It's just the way the background works.
Okay. So because we write to the, when we write to the papers, Sri Lankan newspapers, government papers, they refuse to publish them. So we started, I am the editor, I'm chief editor of the Therini newspaper. Just now I have it, I wonder whether, I have sent it to Bhikkhuni Tataloka.
Yes, thank you. And all the people who are here today will have a chance to learn about your work.
Yeah.
And
So my homage to Great Arahant Theri Sanghamitta. We always think of her because of her, we all, I think even you and me, we are wearing this robe because, so I think it is so great that you have thought of having a memorial day like this, all of us, all over the world. And I'm so glad that I could share my words with you. And on behalf of all Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis, I would like
thank you so much, Venerable, for these inspiring words and for your courage and your persistence. I'd like to see if Suzanne Mrosik is here, and if she would be happy to also unmute herself and share a few words about the work that you're doing. I think you've been a researcher and author living in Sri Lanka, studying the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and you have written a work entitled "We Love Our Nuns," which is an appreciation, right? So we have a few minutes, so please introduce yourself and say a few words.
Venerable, I feel so humbled to speak in a group of Bhikkhunis. It has been my privilege, and it has been the greatest joy in my life to have been able to live with and study with and work with and be friends with Bhikkhunis. And you asked me to say something about the work I do. No, I'm not doing the work. You all are doing the work. And I just reflect back what the lay people in Sri Lanka tell me about the Bhikkhunis. When I first came to Sri Lanka in 2010, there was even less support than today, officially from government circles, but never in the villages among the laity. The laity knew from the beginning that they could go to the Bhikkhunis and the Bhikkhunis would meet all of their Dharma needs. They held the Bhikkhunis in so much respect. So even if the government doesn't officially recognize the lay people, they recognize. And that's been the message that I have been sending in my work. So I thank you so much for this chance to speak, and I'm really grateful to the Bhikkhuni Sasana for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. I know that Bhikkhuni Supeshila was here earlier, but has left the meeting. And I think we have heard Venerable Palignani several times has been very skillfully helping people to know how to use the technology. I don't know if you would, Palignani, if you'd like to let us see your face and just say a few words of greeting to us.
hello from Germany. Just a moment, I need to move over a little bit. I want to pay my respects to all my senior sisters, and if there are any junior sisters to me, I greet them. And I'm so happy to be with you all today. And I was not expecting to say something, but I was very inspired by Ayya Sodama's speech, and I had so much karuna with the technical problems that you were facing. And so I was staying in Sri Lanka for 5 months only, and for over 10 years in Thailand. And I'm a Theri since this October. So I'm having a little bit of experience of how it feels to live like a bhikkhuni in this world. And I am so glad that there are people like the women and men listening today, and that are helping us bhikkhunis to live our dream. I mean, for Ayya Sudama, it was her dream, it was her call to be a bhikkhuni. I know of Ayya Sobana that it was all the same, and for me it was all the same. It had to be. And there are all these people who gather from out of nowhere who make it happen then. And I just want to say thank you to all of you, because Suzanne said it's us doing the work, but without you out there, we couldn't. Without your support, we couldn't. So it's so important that we share and help together. What Ayya Sudama also mentioned, that it's often the women who disparage and not accept when other people or other women have some success in their ordained life or so. So I'm so happy for Sanghamitta Theri to have started this, and to be one of her great granddaughters or grandchildren. And I hope this will continue for a long time to come.
Sadhu, 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 thank you. Now here in California, we are approaching the time for the meal dana, but you'll be able to see some pre-recorded clips that Ayatollah has collected for us. And then in the afternoon, you will be seeing much more of Ayatollah, that is to say afternoon in California, which is about 2 hours from now. You'll be seeing a lot more of Ayatollah and many other wonderful programs. So this is the end of this part of the program, and we're going to be moving to some pre-recorded sessions.
I think you are muted.
You need to unmute yourself.
Mm-hmm. Is that better?
You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you?
I want to thank Venerable Ayya Tataloka for giving me this opportunity to join this very auspicious celebration of the International Sanghamitta Day with all the venerables and all my Dhamma friends in the Dhamma Dharini community. Well, I also want to thank Ayya Tataloka for kindly suggesting that I use this opportunity to remind and to invite all of you to join the next Sakadita conference in Kuching, Sarawak, East Malaysia, next year, next Christmas, between 24th and 28th, followed by 2 days of cultural tour. And we are still receiving proposals, either for papers or workshops until end of January 31st, 2021. Please check out our conference website at Sakadita Sarawak at .sakadita.org or simply visit the Sakadita homepage and be redirected to our conference website. Well, I know the pandemic is still going on and it's even getting more serious in various parts of the world. But still, we continue to plant all the positive causes. We continue to move forward our planning for our reunion for the Daughters of the Buddha next year in Sarawak, Malaysia. Our Malaysian sisters are working very hard, including Sister Imi Wee. As you can see on my screen, Imi is going to hold a sky concert for peace and love for the world. And this is going to take place on December 27th. Let me also use this opportunity to invite you to this event before the Sakadita conference. Actually, Imi has also come up with a very beautiful 3-minute clip for the 30 years of Sakadita. We can share that clip with you on another occasion. But here, Imi is going to do the sky concert as a Dhamma gathering. She's, working very hard with many Dhamma brothers, including this Japanese reverend, famous musician too. So this is going to be 4:30 a.m. LA time on December 27th. I know it's early, but maybe for some of you early birds. And this is going to be just a one-time event. So if you want to watch it, do get up early. And I have the YouTube live stream link here or Facebook, or you can simply, Google Imi. I'm sure you can find those links. Let's try to practice together and wishing the best for the world. And I hope to see many of you there for the Sky concert and also next year in Kuching, Sarawak, East Malaysia at the 17th Sakadita Conference. Thank you. I wish you all well. Please continue to stay safe and we will meet hopefully very soon. Amitofo.
On behalf of Sri Lankan Buddhists, I wish to register my hearty on behalf of Sri Lankan Buddhist, I wish to register my heartiest blessings to the Buddhist Embassy and Mr. Visitha Leelaratne on the celebrations to pay homage to Arahant Bhikkhuni Sanghamitta. Every year, we Sri Lankans all remember Venerable Bhikkhuni Sanghamitta for reasons unique to Sri Lanka. She is the sister of Venerable Arahant Mahinda, who introduced Buddhism to us more than 2 millennia ago. She launched Bhikkhuni Sasana in Sri Lanka and presented us with the Sri Maha Bodhi sapling, which still survives attracting veneration from Buddhists all over the world. Moreover, she accompanied 18 groups of artists and technicians who introduced all necessary know-how to us to make our culture aesthetically rich and technically sophisticated. The Buddha was a progressive and democratic change agent who positively contributed to the liberation struggle of women in spite of heavy restraints of mostly male-dominated Brahmin culture. Even though the success rate was affected by reactionary Indian traditional influence, the original teachings of the Buddha stand to affirm the rights of women both in mundane and supramundane sense. Encouraged by the Buddha's original teachings, the Buddhist women in Sri Lanka are presently engaged in a struggle to re-establishment of the Bhikkhuni order, which was lost almost 1,000 years ago owing to various disasters. Fortunately, they have found that the Theravada ordination is still being practiced in China and some other Mahayana countries, and managed to reintroduce it to Sri Lanka a few years ago. The Buddhist embassy, with the able coordination of Mr. Visitha Leelaratne, has assured us that Sri Lanka could be given all assistance to establish a training center for Bhikkhunis and 10 preceptor nuns, where they can get trained to engage in Buddhist military activities. We are eagerly awaiting to launch the project with facilities for novice nuns from Sri Lanka and abroad, of course, to learn Buddhist philosophy, psychology, mass communication, and a few world languages.
We thank Bhikkhuni Tatha Loka for organizing Sanghamitta Day 2020. The mission of the Buddhist Embassy is to advance the teachings, observances, and cultures associated with the Dhamma. Also, I wish to thank our advisor, Professor Chandima Vijayabandara, for his remarks on Sanghamitta Day 2020 on behalf of the Buddhist Embassy.
Hello. My name is Brenna Arninger. I'm the president of the Alliance for Bhikkunis. Dhammadharini has very kindly asked us to give an introduction on the Alliance for Bhikkunis' work and how we support nuns all across the world. So our main job as the Alliance for Bhikkunis is to support the basic requisites of Bhikkhunis wherever they are. So these requisites mostly include things such as food, shelter, clothing, and medicine. And we have found, especially over the past year with COVID, there's been a huge amount of need for these things, particularly in Asia and in Southeast Asia. So in places such as India, Thailand, Sri Lanka, we've really found that more and more Bhikkhunis are having less access to these basic requisites. And we're mostly finding that this is because the supporters, the people who would normally come to the monastery and provide dana and other needs for the nuns, are simply just either not able to go outside of the house, or they themselves are struggling financially and not able to offer things that they might have to these nuns. So that's really how we've been coming into play this past year and how we've been trying to offer support. Most of our donations this year have been offered to nuns in India and Thailand. And this is to support things mostly just such as food. And there was one monastery that didn't have electricity, so we supported them in buying a generator and buying things such as a toilet if they don't have a toilet. So just very, very basic things to keep these monasteries going and to keep the Bhikkhuni Sangha really thriving and even just surviving in these countries. And so most of our work has been centered this past year just around maintaining a kind of sense of survival. We've really been reaching out to various communities and asking them, okay, what do you need? What can we help with? And so this is mostly the work that we've been trying to do. And we've had a huge outpouring of support this year. I think the most donations we've ever received. So it's been really wonderful to see. And so it's very lovely, and we appreciate all of the support. And if you're able to contribute it to help us support other Bhikkhunis around the world, we would tremendously appreciate it. And we're very thankful to Dhammadrini for all the wonderful things they do, all the wonderful offerings they give to the community. And we hope that Dhammadrini has a very, very joyful and prosperous Sanghamitta Day. And we send all of our very, very best.
Excuse me, there's no sound right now. I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, we can't hear you, ma'am.
They may be replaying.
We are still receiving proposals, either for papers or workshops, until end of January 31st, 2021. Please check out our conference website at Sakadita Sarawak at .sakadita.org, or simply visit the Sakadita homepage and be redirected to our conference website. Well, I know the pandemic is still going on, and it's even getting more serious in various parts of the world. But still, we continue to plant all the positive causes. We continue to move forward our planning for our reunion for the Daughters of the Buddha next year in Sarawak, Malaysia. Our Malaysian sisters are working very hard, including Sister Imi Wee. As you can see on my screen, Imi is going to hold a sky concert for peace and love for the world. And this is going to take place on December 27th. Let me also use this opportunity to invite you to this event before the Sakadita conference. Actually, Imi has also come up with a very beautiful 3-minute clip for the 30 years of Sakadita. We can share that clip with you on another occasion. But here, Imi is going to do the sky concert as a Dhamma gathering. She's, working very hard with many Dhamma brothers, including this Japanese reverend, famous musician too. So this is going to be 4:30 a.m. LA time on December 27th. I know it's early, but maybe for some of you early birds. And this is going to be just a one-time event. So if you want to watch it, do get up early. And I have the YouTube live stream link here, or Facebook, or you can simply, Google Imi. I'm sure you can find those links. Let's try to practice together and wishing the best for the world. And I hope to see many of you there for the Sky concert, and also next year in Kuching, Sarawak, East Malaysia, at the 17th Sakadita conference. Thank you. I wish you all well. Please continue to stay safe, and we will meet hopefully very soon. Amitofo.
Aham pite namasami Bodhi Vajrayamatute Yasamore Nisinoha Sabari Vijayamaka Ado Samadan Yutam Sata Vande Bodhi Padapam Vivete Mahabodhi Loganatena Pukita Aham Pite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamure Visinowa Samadhi Vijayaka Pato Samanayukasata Vande Bodhiparapam Vimete Mahapodhi Loyanate Napujita Aham Pite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamure Nisinoha Samadhi Vijayamaka Ado Samanayutam Sata Vande Bodhipadapam Vimete Mahapodhi Loyanate Napujita Aham Pite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamure Visinowa Samadhi Vijayaka Pato Samanayukasata Vande Bodhiparapam Vimete Mahapodhi Loyanate Napujita Aham Pite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamure Nisinoha Samadhi Vijayamaka Ado Samanayutam Sata Vande Bodhipadapam Vimete Mahapodhi Loyanate Napujita Aham Pite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamure Visinowa Samadhi Vijayaka Pato Samanayukasata Vande Bodhiparapam Vimete Mahapodhi Loyanate Napujita Aham Pite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamure Nisinoha Samadhi Vijayamaka Anto Samadan Yutam Sata Vande Bodhipadapam Vivete Mahabodhi Loganatena Pukita Aham Vite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute. Samule Visinowa Samadhi Vijayamaka Tato Samalan Yutam Sata Vande Tam Bodhipadapam Vimete Mahabodhi Yoganatena Pukita Aham Vite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamule Nisinoha Samadhi Vijayamaka Anto Samadan Yutam Sata Vande Bodhipadapam Vivete Mahabodhi Loganatena Pukita Aham Vite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamule Visinowa Samadhi Vijayamaka Tato Samalan Yutam Sata Vande Tam Bodhipadapam Vimete Mahabodhi Loganatena Pukita Aham Vite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute Yasamule Nisinoha Samadhi Vijayamaka Anto Samalan Yutam Sata Vande Tam Bodhipadapam Vivete Mahabodhi Loganatena Pukita Aham Vite Namasami Bodhi Raja Namatute